Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be showing you how to plan out your fireball, how to plan out a warden charge, and then also how to just get the best value out of your warden in a fireball attack. Now, today I'm going to be focusing on my own furnace army. However, the strategies I'm going to be talking about in this video can apply to almost every fireball army, like super yetis, regular yetis, throwers, rocket loons, and even ice golems. So, a wide variety of attacks use this fireball setup. So as long as you can master this, you're going to probably be able to easily adapt it to every other fireball army. Um, but I just feel like this furnace army is going to be working best, especially with the comparison to rocket loons. I think this is much easier to learn um, and master. So anyways, I'm just going to hop into the attack, and then I'll show you guys how to master this. All right, so up into the first attack. Now, right away, you can see that it's a double poison and a diamond-shaped base. So, very common and also going to be very difficult, especially up at high legends. So the first thing you want to look for is that clan castle and then those spell towers. In this case, the double poison. So to plan out your fireball, you're either going to want to hit the spell tower or the clan castle. And most often on these double poison bases, the spell towers are going to be placed very far apart, and often not near any of the core defenses. So you want to aim for that clan castle because that's really going to help speed up your attack and make sure you can get down the base, hopefully without a time fill, and also get some good value with the fireball. The next thing you look for is the giant bomb or the RC. Now, if you can see the giant bomb on this bottom left side, that's nowhere near the clan castle, so I'm not going to be able to get it with a fireball if I place my warden down there. And the reason why you want to look for that giant bomb is just so you can route your king and queen dive away from that, and using the warden on his way to use the fireball, it's a really good way to route your king and queen around that without actually hitting the giant bomb. And then next, you want to look for the RC, and that's just because she's the easiest hero to get around with your warden. Like, most often, the RC and queen are going to be placed on opposite sides of the base, so often opting for the RC over the warden in a battle, it's going to be very easy just to get through her. And, you don't really have to pay too much attention to your warden then. All right, so actually planning out the hit then, the first thing you're going to do is place down a test balloon. Now, very often people are going to end up trapping, especially in higher legends or just with a base with a more obvious fireball. The red air bombs, black air mines, all of those are going to be on the outside of the base, so it's very easy to get trapped if you don't use a test balloon. Now, as you can see, as this RC moves out, you want to get ready with an invis, or also get ready with that headhunter. So here, as I drag my warden in, and as she gets lured out, I'm going to use some, right there, a headhunter, and that's just going to help make sure my warden lives and also gets down that RC very quickly. Another thing to mention with the headhunter is that you don't want to wait too long, because that means she's going to be getting in too late, and then that's going to lead to your warden dying. Or if you send her in too early, that means other defenses are going to be able to hit her, or that means the hero is going to lock onto her and take her out right away. All right, so now I'm going to ice block my warden, and make sure you use, usually what I say is use 2 to 3 invisibility spells. So here I was able to get a really good fireball off with 2 invisibility spells, and now I'm going to let my warden walk a little, and that's just so I can get down this multi-inferno tower, because I saw that I didn't get it with my earthquake spells, and if I get that down earlier in the attack, that means I'm going to be able to help my furnaces move through the base much quicker. Now, I did place down a flame flinger on this left side, and I also see that over here I have 2 multi-archer towers and a monolith. So using the flame flinger as a funnel in combination with what my warden did up on this top right side, it's going to make it really easy to move through this bottom side. And often what I do is, after I recall and place down my warden, I'm going to place down a rage spell, because most often he's going to be getting sent into an area with a lot of high hitting defenses or high HP defenses, meaning it's going to take him a little while to get through. So it's much easier when you do use a rage spell on that bottom side, um, or in the area where you use the recall. So that's going to be it for this attack. Um, but I'll hop right in the next one, and then I'll go over how to do a Warden Charge for a rage base. Okay, so onto a double rage base now. So the first thing you see is that it's a pretty common base with this double rage part at the bottom and then some high hitting defenses up at the top. And I also see that the giant bomb is up at this top compartment. So often it'll either be up at these top two or down in one of the rage compartments. And if you do see it in one of the rage compartments, you're going to want to fireball that one, just because being able to route your king and queen around that is going to be a big help, especially with that king and queen dive, and with the lower hero healths in these higher leagues. So again, I see that the RC is in this one. So instantly I'm thinking this is going to be a much easier fireball and keep my warden alive in it. And also see that there's a multi-inferno in this compartment. So being able to get rid of that right away is going to be a big help to my furnaces, as the multi-infernos are like probably the biggest threat to them just because they take them down so quickly. Now on these bases, you see that there's a lot of dead space in between these garbage buildings on the outside. So making sure to send a test loon in is like a necessity, just because it's so easy to trap for a fireball on these types of bases. One, because it's a very obvious fireball on where you're going to go, and also because there's so much dead space intentionally left on the outside. So that test loon, um, you don't want to wait too long to send your warden in, but it's also good to just wait at least a second before you send in your warden. Now, what I often do is I use a lot of rocket loons, almost always all of them, on the outside of the base, just to help make sure I don't use and waste a lot of my invisibility spells. So the key thing I always do is use 2 to 3. Using 4 is definitely much riskier, as it's going to take a bit longer to set it up and also plan it out. And then if you do end up, messing it up in some way, you're not going to have any to be able to recover, and you're really screwed on that fireball placement. Now, another thing I also do is that if I have a bunch of garbage buildings on the outside like this, I'm going to use my warden and just wait a little bit longer to make sure that he's able to get through them, and my king and queen can get funneled into the base much quicker. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pick them up now. And then up this top side, I already sent my RC in, and I'm going to cover that in another video on how to use your RC. But now I see there's a lot of dead space and garbage buildings, so I'm going to just send them to furnaces, and then I'm going to get ready to rage up, because that multi-inferno and that gigabomb are the biggest threats to your warden. So if you don't rage up your healers, he's going to go down right away, and that's what's going to happen in this attack, just because I'm not really watching my warden, because I do think that the that the gigabomb isn't going to kill him, but then that town hall shot ends up coming in and whacking him right away. So this is going to end up being a very close attack, but better planning would have definitely led this to be a really, really, really rushed 3-star. Alright, so onto this attack now. So instantly you should see that it is a double poison base with that clan castle at the bottom side, and since it is offset in such a way like that, it's not going to be able to get much value if you do fireball it. So instantly, that's probably not going to be the best one. So move your eyes over to these poison towers, and you see that there is a bunch of value around it. So hitting any of these buildings is going to get the Inferno, Scatter Shot, and then depending on where you hit, the Archer Towers. And also, if you go for this compartment, it's a Gigabomb. So this left side is much better than the right side with the RC. So in this case, using the rule that going for the RC compartment is better is probably not going to be correct, just because the value in this one is so much better. So again, I'm going to make sure to send in a test loon, wait a second, then send my Warden, and then my healers. And on this one, I do opt for going for a Flame Flinger, so those rocket loons at the bottom end up baiting the CC, and that almost sells the attack, as you're going to see in a second. So I got really lucky that it didn't. So as you can see, that Headhunter starts really pushing onto my Warden, and I end up invising a little too late, but I get really lucky that the Warden doesn't go down fully, and also ends up fireballing a building where I can get all three of those other major defenses out. So really lucky on that, and this was almost a instant fail just because of that fireball. But now you can see I'm going to be able to route around that giant bomb, so really good value and set up for my king and queen dive. As you can see, a really great funnel. Now here you can see that booger activates all those red air mines. So as soon as I see that, I'm going to be thinking, I'm going to have to recall my Warden soon, and especially with those ice golems, if my Warden does move in further towards the base, he's going to hit a lot of high hitting defenses, and also there's likely to be more air mines, so my healers are going to go down very quickly. My Warden's probably not going to live for a lot longer. So here I recall him, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, but using the Flame Flinger as a funnel is probably the best strategy for it. So funneling my Warden in towards the Town Hall is going to isolate him from all the other high-hitting defenses. And here, my Warden does go in range of that Fire Spitter. However, it's not really too much of a concern just because there isn't really many other defenses around, and my Warden's going to be able to get through there a lot faster because there's so many furnaces right behind him, and also this clan castle is moving in as well. Now here, I used the ice block on my Warden just because I had it available, and also because I didn't want him to get pulled by the RC right away, or else the Fire Spitter would have hit him, and then he would have ended up not getting healed, and he probably would have died. So I kind of got lucky that the fireball was messed up, that I still had the ice block available. But yeah, this base was just crushed and, really easy, and I honestly was very lucky that fireball didn't get messed up. So in this attack, I am attacking the #1 player from last season. So this base is going to be, top of the line and probably one of the more difficult bases you're going to see. But for some reason, I thought this base was very easy. Instantly, I see this giant bomb, 3 major defenses at the top, and the clan castle, all for a really easy and cheap fireball. So I'm going to opt for that right away. I also see really great Flame Flinger value. Again, I'm going to talk about that in another video, and I'll tell you guys how to exactly plan and go for a really good fireball or Flame Flinger. Now here I do end up luring out some of the CC, but since the fireball is going to end up taking them out, it's not too big of a deal. Now I do have to keep an extra eye on my Warden just because that Headhunter was on him. So if the Headhunter ended up getting him low, I probably would have ice blocked and then launched an early fireball, and I probably wouldn't have gotten too good of a value as this one. But here, that entire top compartment, clan castle, and the giant bomb all go down, so really easy fireball to start the attack. Alright, so now here, you see that the healers got hit by a fire mite, so I'm going to pick my Warden back up, and what that does is it helps, it just completely stops the damage that the fire mites do, so it keeps my healers alive. Now, even though in this new update, the healers don't go down from one fire mite hit, they end up getting a lot of damage done, so one red air mine would have taken them all out, and that really would have sucked. So now I end up waiting for my for the fire mites to go away, and then I send my Warden back in, and that just really helps to make sure he stays alive. And on this top compartment, I see that I'm going to be able to get down that expo before I'm in range of the town hall, but also this town hall compartment is going to be very difficult to get through, especially with that minion prince um, in there. Now, it isn't ideal that the um, Warden was following my Super Yeti, but since the Super Yeti didn't really have anything else around it to go to, my Warden, it didn't really matter. So here, I see that the minion prince was targeting my Warden, so instantly I launched a rage spell just to rage up my healers, but then as soon as I saw that the rage spell wasn't really helping, I just did an extra invis, and here you can see I launched another rage spell a little bit ahead of my healers, just because I knew that as soon as that hero went down, everything was going to move in, so I really wanted to make sure my Warden stayed alive. And also using the rage spell ahead of where the healers were, it's going to help move through those defenses really quickly and get through the base very quickly. So pretty good attack, I would say, and also a really easy base for someone that was number 1 last season. Okay, so as soon as I get into this attack, I noticed that it is on the number 3 player from last season, so I'm again a little nervous. But once I see some fireball value, this base just becomes really easy. So that clan castle and that poison tower can be hit with 1 fireball on the town hall. That's also going to get down this entire middle compartment. So for some reason, a really easy fireball. And then there's also this fireball on the builder hub, which gets down this entire top compartment. So 2 really easy fireballs on a double poison base, which isn't really too common. And that's because the double poison base is usually being run to try and negate some of the fireball value, but for some reason that's not what I guess Sicario is running in this base. So here I send my Warden in on this bottom side, and I do forget to send in the test loon, but it ends up not costing me anything, very luckily. But I end up dragging some of the CC out, so keeping an eye on that Warden is definitely a key, because as you saw in one of the previous attacks, my Warden went down very quickly just from 1 headhunter. So, really lucky that didn't end up killing him. But dragging the CC isn't like the end of the world, just because if you do drag the CC and it is just a furnace, that's going to get dragged out right away. But if it is an ice golem CC, that's going to take a little longer. So it helps what is in the CC, and also, it's not too big of a deal. Here, I do miss 1 building, but I do just get great value in general. And now, as I'm moving through, I see that the Monolith and Expo are going to be targeting me at the same time, so I know my Warden's health is going to be going down. So a rage spell is going to be needed there, and that's also just so I can get through this Monolith really quickly and get through all these high hitting defenses on the outside. So now that I see the Town Hall and Scattershot are going to be hitting me at the same time, I have to recall my Warden, as if I don't, I'm going to have to invest at least another invisibility spell, maybe even a rage spell, to help my Warden push through that area. So, letting my king and queen move through that area is going to be much better than having my Warden, risk being killed to deal with it. Now here, this area is pretty easy, I would say, just because that I have furnaces now tanking for my Warden, but a rage spell is needed since that scatter shot is now targeting him, and my healers need to be raged up just so I can move through this high damage and high HP area. Now, I did use that invisibility because I saw my Warden was about to get targeted by the Queen and Scattershot at the same time, meaning he would likely go down right away. Now here, that multi-gear tower, that is the biggest threat to your Warden, and that's why he goes down. Just because if you don't have any spells to try and stop him, your Warden is, I'm probably going to say 100% guaranteed to go down unless there's some other type of troop damaging the multi-gear tower at the same time. So, really obvious that he goes down. but I got really lucky that the rest of the attack went well, and my Warden Charge didn't end up selling the attack. That's going to be it for this video. I really hope that, this video helped really show how to launch a fireball, how to figure out where the best value for it is, and then also how to set up your Warden Charge at the end of the attack. It's not going to apply to every attack, but it definitely applies to this Furnace Army. If you guys want to use it, it's going to be down in the comments, and it's been working very well for a lot of people other than myself. As I've had people in my comments saying it's had a plus 320 day for them, and even a plus 300 day, and just in general, better days than they've had with any other army. So definitely go ahead and give it a shot for at least one day of your Legends Day. So that's going to be it for this video, and I will be bringing extra guides in the future on how to set up a hero dive and just how to use my Furnace Army in general, and hopefully I will be able to bring some live Legends hits in the future. So see you guys.